Alright, so we've got, we're going to put the neck, with the neck flap down here. So the hinge here goes down and mounts here, and we basically just line up this center line with the one in the templates, and then the hinge lets us do our thing. But it's pretty critical that we get this fairly square, and the big thing is that this center line and the template center lines line up. So what I've got here are a couple of spacer blocks that are 2.5 inches wide. This is like the trickiest part of the entire build, is getting this in where it belongs. So these are 2.5 inches wide, and I can push them against the back. I've already checked that the back is pretty parallel with the face of this, the slot, and then we just, oops, hold on. It's a little bit of a five-handed thing, but once you've got everything sort of where it goes, you can clamp it. Well, when you do finally get everything where it goes, you can clamp it. And they need to be vertical because my hinge rotating pins, there we go, okay. So we just get it really close to center here. I'm just sort of eyeballing down the center. Oh, I've got a template in here flipped over so that I've got a center line that I can see, and I'm just aligning with that center line. So I'm just sort of eyeballing down my center line here to that center line and getting within the ballpark. We'll get it better here in a second. I just want to get everything into position here so I can tap stuff around. Okay, so that holds there, that holds there. That's pretty close to on center. Now I can dutifully clamp this. Okay, so I've got the 2.5 inch spacers here. In order to get these clamps to work, there's a huge gap back here, and the clamps just can't. The clamps just trying to hit this thing. The clamps will try to can't, and it just doesn't work. So I had to cut a couple more spacers on this side that stick out past this wall. They stick out past this, and that's what I've got my clamps engaged on. I'm gonna bring you guys around and show you that as soon as I get things aligned. So they're clamped really stiff right now, so I'm going to take it a little lighter so I can shift things just a little bit when I need to. And now the whole point of this exercise is to get my center lines aligned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a fairly straight ruler and stick it in this center line here. Drop it down and see where it is in relation to that center line, which it is not on just yet, and I'll show you that here in just a second. Okay, so we're center lines here. That sits right in it. It's pretty straight. You come down and you'll see we're not in the pattern, the template center line. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to tap this. Tap it over. And I'm just going to get it center line. There we go. That's pretty good. That's really good, actually. I managed to get that on there just about the first try. Oh no, we got a little ways to go. So the idea is you kind of slide into it a couple of times and double check, and then make sure it's flat. How are we doing now? Oh, we're very close. We're almost there. So I'm just trying to get it as close as I can here. We're very near, very, very near. Make sure we stay centered. I try to make sure I'm moving just laterally here. Not quite. I'll go a little more. Okay. Yeah, we're getting very close now. We're very nearly there. I think my clamps have tightened up just a tiny bit. I'm just making sure I fall right into that center line. We're not moving as far as I'd like to. Let's see if I can get a grip on it here. That's probably very close now. Yep, there we go. See how it drops right in there? With no gap. That's good. That is perfect. I like that. So now we can go around to the other side and mark things. Okay, really quickly, since the camera and I can't be in the same place at the same time, we're on the other side now. I've got my clamps all tightened up nicely. And we're now marked where we're now centered where we want to be. And now this is the other side of the hinge. We need to get 4 holes drilled. So I'm going to get down inside there, see if you can see down in there. Yeah, you can barely get a view, can you? It's such a crammed space. So that's where we are. We're going to I'm going to try to get those holes marked and get I may be able to get the hinge drilled and screwed down just as well. So try to get it in there as solidly as I can. So I'm going to pull back again, and you can see the gyrations that it takes to make that happen. I think I can get in there with the drill and get the holes drilled, but I'm going to mark with a punch so that I want to get the holes somewhat near center so that I don't have to fight with that at all. Need a mallet. Just go in here. Yeah, that's pretty close to center anyway. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so I'm just got a punch that happens to fit almost like a centering punch does into these holes, and it makes just enough of a divot into the wood that now my drill bit's going to go right where I want it to. Don't want to go all the way through. Hard task. That's probably the hardest task of this whole build, is getting that hinged bit mounted in the right place. Just a couple of spacers and a few clamps take care of the job, though. And the hinged bit flops open, which is what I would expect. That's a pretty good travel. That should be plenty of room. And we can pop our spacers here out. Now it can go back well further than it needs to, and it can come forward well further than it needs to, and that's what I wanted to make sure could happen. Very little, trying to get as little slop as possible. And taking a look through here, the hole for this and this hole here line up nicely. Cool. That's the next bit. We'll get that lifting and raising mechanism taken care of next. All right. So I've got a 1/4-inch carriage bolt I pushed through here, and I just saw a mistake. It hits. So what happened was the way I had this drawn, this panel sat lower, and that's where this slot was. So when I model the next time, I'll make this slot longer. I'll actually just move it down and make it a bit longer, I think. So what I've got to do is I'm just going to extend this hole a bit. So I'm going to take my coping saw and give it a slight change. Should be plenty tight. I'm just going to eyeball this about a 1/2 inch low, and And this is just going to be removing the bulk of things. I'd still want to probably file it smoother or rounder. We're just correcting an error is all here. That's about enough. Go back up from this side now. Come on. There we go. All right, the saw is freed. Now what I'll do probably, I think I will come after it with a 1/4 inch bit right here. Get the bulk of this out of the way. There we go. We are cleared of it. I can just come in there with a chisel. Or a file, that would probably do it. Just push that out of the way. No, there's still a little something in there, so come at it with a small chisel here. My drilling was not spot on. Hit it, there we go. Cleared of that. Now I can come in here with a small file and clean up the bottom of this hole, which is not bad. But now this carriage bolt comes right through. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so here's what I did. Instead of this short carriage bolt, I have one of these really long flathead bolts. Okay? It's just only because there's an inch more thread. That's all. So that's through here, and it's just sitting. I may countersink this screw or this hole just to gain the extra, 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch of length, but it's fine where it is right now. Against the wood, there's a washer and then a lock nut. That just keeps it there. It still spins. It's snug, but it still spins. So that's minor. So I just got a screwdriver back here doing this job. Got another lock nut right here. Take a washer, stick that on, and we can slide our hinge panel against it. And that's my depth right there. That's my angle reference right there. Okay. Then take another washer and another lock nut. This is my locker. This is what fastens things. This is what holds everything snug. So then I can, screwdriver is on one end. I could also put a wrench on this end and do the same thing, but screwdriver's here. You just snug everything up nicely until it pushes against that nut that's back here. Now we're still snug, and now we're really good and snug. Yeah. And that is holding. That is now our neck angle. And then we can take our neck, and we need some sort of clamping mechanism here, but now our neck angle is repeated here. And there's enough screw sticking out that I can go forward a 1/4 inch or more. That's going to be a significant change in angle, and I can come back quite a ways. I think, for now, this is going to be a workable solution. I don't think it's going to be a problem. And so my main thing will be, if I want to bring the angle this way, I can stick a wrench back here, take a screwdriver, and tighten this screw. And it will move this nut back so that the angle will go backwards. If I want to change it this way, I will loosen this screw. And that'll take care of that. And if I need to go that way, I need to make room, obviously, so I would loosen this, then I would loosen this. And that would make the angle more. I would increase the angle. Make a larger, yeah, it would make a larger gap. And then we can just do that. So that's going to be the adjustment mechanism. Of course, we're upside down right now, and this all, we're upside down right now, and this all seems really easy. Everything's got to be switched when it's upside right, but that shouldn't be a problem. I'm not really worried about that. So we solved it. I did not have to go shopping. I could just as easily have gone to the store and got a longer carriage bolt, but using what I have in the shop, this is going to work just fine. I don't need it to not move. In fact, I kind of like that it does move. It's a little less work. Because to be inside of here, there's not a ton of, I made room, but there is not a ton of room to do a lot of work here. So the access isn't great, and upside down is going to be even harder to see, so just reaching back here might be a lot easier. We'll see. If I don't like it, I'll switch it out for all thread, or I'll make that mechanism different. But for now, I think we're pretty solid. That's going to do. One tiny modification to my little tilt solution is I've got a thumb screw that'll work a lot easier here with a small spacer because the depth of this. So if it's about a 1/4 inch thick spacer. So if I end up needing to come out further, I can take this spacer out and just use the washer. But this makes life a little easier for getting things adjusted quicker. I'm not a big fan. I don't know. I don't mind this in this situation. I don't even actually mind a nut because I shouldn't be adjusting this angle all that often. I mean, every neck, one would hope at some point I get my neck angle pretty much the way I will always do it. So I'll just pick an angle and then it sticks, and I probably won't have to adjust it after that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get these little plugs made for hitting this truss rod slot so that it can center up automatically very nicely. So I'm going to get that going now. That one actually might be a little, yeah, sure enough, my this one is where I notched, so it's not going to fit very snugly no matter what I does, and that's okay. Just something I need to keep in mind that I've done. So this one might not be in the best of locations, but it's not a big deal. I think I might move that up another inch in the drawing. So if I do this more, it'd be an inch here, and this one could probably come down another inch. But yeah, so we're going to go cut probably some Delrin to fit these nicely, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, before I go too much further with the rest of things, I want to do the final bits of shaping of things. So the vise jaws, I want to do a curve, and I want them rounded so that when it clamps something tapered, if you have straight sides, you're going to make a bad pinch line. So if it's curved, it'll make contact wherever the tapered piece touches, and it'll not pinch it badly. It won't give you a crunch line. So in the router table right now, I've got a bit that makes that curvy profile there. That's going to be half of this. I'm going to do a different curve on the other side, on the other half, so that it sort of moves the fastening point up a little bit higher for most tapered things. So I've got them marked on the sides I'm going to do. I guess I should have marked which side was up. This side is up, so we'll start with that against the fence. This one went this way, so this side is up, so we'll go with that against the fence. Okay, now we know which sides are up and which faces we're going to mill. This will go like this. The bottoms, we're doing the bottoms here. So the gradual curve is on the bottom, the sharper curve is on the top. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to get after this. I've got a router bit in there that's about 2.5 inches in diameter. So I've got the speed turned way down. In fact, that's about it. Go a little faster. Alright, now we've got a round over bit that's just going to cut this corner here like this on this side, so it's a little bit closer. So we'll leave a little bit of a center flat spot. A little bit of center flat spot. We'll cut that here. Alright, there we go. Okay, that's the profile we ended up with. It's almost like a chair rail or a door railing, stair rail. That's the word I was looking for, stairs. Kind of like that. There's a tiny bit of a facet right here, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the bench. I'm going to put some 80 grit sandpaper in, and we're going to just fair this a little bit further, because that's basically going to be my contact point for everything unless I get it round. So I'm just going to smooth that out nice, and we'll bring you over to the bench and we'll deal with that. Okay, this isn't really critical. It's just a matter of smoothness is all. So I'm just going to chuck this up in the vise and just go after getting that facet worked out. This is go fast. It's not very deep. It's not a very tall facet. And that should give me a nice lean on the tapered stuff. That's it. That's all it was needing right there. That's all it took. Just like that. Do the same for this one. And it's just a matter of getting that facet, that flat spot out. Nothing to it with 80 grit sandpaper. And I'm sort of intentionally heading towards the smoother side or the shallower curve just to kind of make sure that it peaks up here somewhere. The intention is to have the contact point up above the screws if I can help it. There we go. Those are ready for hardware. Alright, I think I'll just make a couple of those real quick. Alright, so I've got a bit of aluminum rod here that's about a 1/2 inch. I just polished it on the lathe, and it's still a bit of a tight fit, but it'll rotate inside. So all I gotta do is cross drill. I could have gone with steel, I could go with brass. I'd prefer to go with brass, but I don't have any 1/2 inch brass and I don't want to waste a bunch. Same goes with steel. I don't have any laying around. I do not have any 1/2 inch steel rod that I could use easily. So I've got a bunch of aluminum, and I'm pretty sure it'll be strong enough. If it's not, I'll make some brass ones. I've got brass coming. So what I've done so far is polished up the surface, and now I'm going to take it to the bandsaw over here, and I'm going to cut off just small plug lengths that'll be shorter than 2 inches, you know, and then because that way it can move around if it needs to. And then we'll cross drill it for some 5/16. So first, cut off 2 little 1.5-ish, 1.75-ish chunks. Now, with that, we free, I really had that clamp good. We free this other piece, and they're roughly the same length. Cool. There we go. Good and good. That one's ready to be cross drilled. I'm going to do the other one and then I'll bring you back. Okay, now we just need to get them into our board here. Try to orient them so that it's a fairly snug fit, especially once I hit the hole side here. Let's see if I can come at it from this direction maybe. No, not really. Okay. So it's going to be snug, but that's okay. As long as it doesn't turn too far while I'm driving it on in, it'll be all right. And I'm going to use some wood to keep from mushrooming this. Just try it. Let's see. How far are you? Oh, you're very close. Very, very close. You are quite about there. So now I'm going to grab the offcut that I used, go right like this and go like that. And that puts us pretty much in the middle. You couldn't see that. I don't know why I tried to show you. This one, do the same with. That one almost goes in all on its own, huh? And where's that one? Okay. Like that. And that one needs a bit of an aiming. Not going to be too tough to do, though. Let's see. I'm going to need slightly smaller version here. There we go. There we are. That's all it took. It just needed to turn a little bit. And then our threads go right on in. And that'll be our that's our vise jaw right there. And there's some room for pivot, as you can see. Lots of room for pivot, and it doesn't stick up on either end. Good. Cool. Alright, so let's get this vise assembled here real fast, shall we? We shall. I'm positioned to move you around a little bit here. Alright, so first things first, we put the fixed jaw in place. Okay. Like a so. You know what I should do though is fasten this little bugger down a little better. One moment, please. That'll hold it. Now we take our big jaw here. Did we get it up right? Yep. This jaw will go here, right? So we'll take this and I'm going to grab a clamp to hang on to it for me here. Fine, I'll do it like that. How about you like that? And I'll get it roughly in the right spot here. I just need some second hands here to hold on to stuff because I've got a few parts I'm trying to align here. For that, I'm just going to look for the threads here. That one might need aiming. There we go. I felt it drive. Okay. And then that's going in now. And it'll come out this side here in a second. I'm going to do the exact same with this one. Ease it out. Send it on in. And that one lines up nicely already, thankfully. Okay, now I'm just gonna keep on driving until it pushes through to the other side. Now, we may already have enough thread here. Just need this one to pop out here. Get on it. There it goes. I think we can drop that now. See how we're just making a jaw now. Now, I believe if we just push, we should have enough. Oh, not quite on this one. Now we'll start pulling the jaw forward because I've just bottomed out here. That's beautiful. Cool. Put on our lock washer, or not our lock, but our washer and our lock nut. Just finger tight for the moment, and then I'll grab a wrench. And then we'll have ourselves a vise. And I think I may line this with cork just to make it, you know, softer on things. Now, we'll just this tightening against our yeah, that's good right there. That's our amount of tension. So I'm just tightening that lock nut until it snugs things, pinching between these two parts. So there's very little slop, but it's still free moving. A little too much slop for my liking. That's not quite enough slop. There we go. And that's our jaws. So I can turn one and this will pivot really nicely for quite a good ways. See that? And then I can come over here and continue this one. And we can just kind of cinch things together. And that is our jaws for our vise. I'm going to avoid going all the way in for the moment. I'm leaving this long for now because I'm not entirely sure how well loosening will act. This has a little bit of a grab. So I'm going to just take a little bit of tension off it. There we go. I don't know exactly how much these knobs will stay, how well these knobs will stay on the way I have them fastened right now. They're just bottomed out against one of the tops of the lock washers, or the lock nuts. But it may be that I need to put a lock nut on this side too. I'm just holding off on trimming these because at some point I'm going to want these flush. But now, I have dirty hands. I'll be right back. I'm going to take the body and we'll clamp it in. Alright, so now, got my body. I've got the jaws a little closer so I don't have to spend so much time tinkering with that. But basically we'll line up our center lines and then give her a clamping. I can see it doing it. Okay, and so all I'm doing is upward pressure to keep the flat surface up on the flat of this so it doesn't tilt on me. And my body is now held pretty strongly, and I'm barely pushing on it at the moment. Robert O'Brien says the tightness is you go until you hear a crack, then you back off a quarter turn. If you hear a crack, that's what's he call it? The technical term for that is bad. It's not a good thing. But there, we've got our body clamped onto it. That's good. That's really good. I could route my dovetail right now. Bink. Slide my dovetail in. Boom. Actually, move it so that the dovetail ends up where I need it to move. Oh, hey, that's for the neck. Let's do the body one. Dovetail body. Yonk. And then we just go until it stops prior to the binding and route away. Yeah, that's pretty freaking cool. That's going to work beautifully. That's holding very well. That's not going anywhere. Yeah, that isn't going anywhere. And it's firm up against the case, the top here. So that's how you'll route that side. Then we can come over here and we can route the neck side. We can take the neck and put it in over here. I just don't have the clamping mechanism yet. That is my next task, my next duty. And yeah, this is going to be great. This is going to work well. Beautiful. I like it when it comes together. I always do. Always a fan. Okay, so I require a couple of things I don't have right now. We're going to have to go shopping. What time is it? 3? Yeah, I think we're going to go shopping. I need some angle. I don't have any angle iron. I don't have any angle aluminum that's long enough to do the job here. So I'm going to get some of that. And I'm going to probably pick up some more knobs for clamping stuff. But yeah, all in all, the vise jaws work as I need them to. And we'll go until it pops down. Boink. No damage. That's good. No damage is good. And so far, I think I might be fine with the way this is. I might be okay to cut them. This back where it goes here. It might be safe to cut them off, but for the moment I'm going to hold off. I'm going to hold off until I've used it a few times and it's a known quantity at that point. Alright, so after a little bit of tinkering, I've determined that I needed to make some custom screws. So what I did was I took a regular old screw like this, just a plain old panhead screw like this, and I had to turn a good chunk of it away. So it's now flat on top. That was just to get it low enough to be able to clear the top surface of the of the pattern of the template. So that leaves a very, it's on the floor. Hold on. So that leaves a very small little screwdriver tip. So this guy fits in there just right. And it'll kind of prevent over tightening, because if you over tighten it, you'll strip it and you got to make another one. I'm going to work through another way of doing that. I might find some short washer head screws or something that'll do. But for the moment, that's what I've got. It's got to clear 1/8 of an inch, and that's not very tall. So what I'm going to do next is decide where to put the hole for that. I don't see much point in going too far beyond the centers, frankly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how long this is. Hey, look, it's just about 6.5 inches long. So I'm just going to put this at the 3. In fact, I'll just, what I'll do is I'll put put my rule in there, and at the 3, because I don't really care if it's a bit far back. I've got this little, this is a transfer punch that is just the right size to fit into the slots, so it'll just barely set with no slop. So I'm going to take and I'm going to locate based on 3 inches or so, let's say, and I'm going to slide my transfer punch in there, grab my hammer, and go bink, and that's where that hole will be. And do the same over here. And this is, it doesn't matter where these are. I'm doing this because I want it to be uniform and look kind of look professional. Okay, those 2 holes. So now we can throw our dovetail template in. Take a screw. Cinch it just a bit. Same over here. Cinch that one just a bit. No metal scratchy sounds. It's good, and it's locked. Take a quarter turn, maybe a quarter, maybe an 1/8 turn. Slidey. Yes. I'm a fan of this. That's cool. I see what I have there. My hinge screw holes have gone through just a little there. That's not a big deal. Coolness. That is beautiful. We can lock you down. Doink, doink, and now you are not moving. Perfect. Excellent. So all I have left, and I will do this when I figure out my clamping. I have to get some hardware. Is to clamp the neck down. So that's beautiful. I'll do that. That's good. Okay, so I need to get a bit of angle aluminum, and I need to work out my clamping solution for the neck. But other than that, I'm going to call this jig pretty close to done. So we're going to go get what I need for that, and then we'll bring you back.